Welcome! Today I'll be giving you a glimpse of the process behind my piece, Lady of April, a 10 by 20 inch painting created in ink and watercolor. This image is part of a series I'm working on called The Ladies of the Months. I started this series back in 2014 as a way to explore the birthstones and birth flowers for each month of the year. This series has also presented an opportunity to combine both my love of painting and for creating masks. For each painting of a lady, I've also been creating a matching mask made from carved and tooled leather. Research for every lady always begins with writing down notes about the month to get my creative juices flowing. This includes learning about the origin of the name, why a month is called what it is, what holidays occur in each month, and what those holidays are all about. My research began initially with some overlap with Easter, since Easter is a movable feast that can take place in March or April. I initially thought I'd make March and April inverted twins of sorts, but I moved away from this idea by the end. Though you'll notice both ladies still stand in water, representing renewal. Over the course of my research, I discovered the Festival of Demeter, which is a famous April celebration. Women dressed in white take torches into the dark of night, representing Demeter searching for her daughter Persephone, the goddess of spring. I also noticed many cultures in the northern hemisphere take this time of year to honor trees with arbor festivals. In the end, the imagery of fire, light, and the growth of trees that came up during research helped April to emerge in her final form. You'll notice in some of the thumbnails pictured, I represented Easter by including rabbits, symbols of fertility and light bringers. Though I eventually moved away from rabbits in favor of focusing on the lady holding a tree, evoking her as the giver of life and promoter of growth. In the end, I preferred this unique imagery over repeating Easter's themes. A mood board helps organize my muse's random visions into something I can translate into my painting. I gathered a lot of reference of twisting trees and saplings to suit this lady's themes. I still wasn't satisfied with the thumbnails I arrived at, so I took my favorite poses and did more detailed studies of them. I also turned my sketches over to a critique group who helped me to arrive at the pose on the right. I liked the dynamism of the first pose on the left, and the gentleness of the pose in the middle. I finally went with the pose on the right because it combined both of these aspects by having the interesting motion and lines of the tree encircling the figure, and a gentle expression with flowing graceful hair as she offers the sapling. Unlike prior ladies in the series, I liked this initial pose so much that I wanted to work directly from what I sketched, rather than shooting direct reference. I was also running a bit low on time to set up a photo shoot. The danger of working without direct photo reference is that your anatomy can be way off or look flat. I tried to remedy this by using a process of mannequinization as suggested by Proco, one of my favorite anatomy teachers. When using this process, the form of the figure is broken down into major masses in 3D shapes, with special attention given to the volume of these shapes and how they inform the structure of the pose. This helps you to create a convincing pose that has weight and definition. With my pose figured out, I now knew how much of the window would be showing, so I could move on to designing this aspect of the piece. I always start out very rough in Photoshop, copying and pasting elements till they look good. I was inspired by the theme of light for this lady to go with a radiating star theme, with the details of the daisies being pushed more to the outside so that they wouldn't be covered up by the figure. I also knew that I'd be making the shape towards the center of the window design dark, so as to provide contrast for the figure's pale colored hair. For Lady of April, I once again favored a Grecian goddess look. Instead of a head garland, which I've used to tie in the flowers for the previous ladies, I liked the idea of Lady of April being more natural and having her flowers tangled or braided into her hair. A lot of Lady of April's midsection in the actual piece was covered by the tree and her hands, save for the very bottom of her corset, so I had to make sure the bottom of that corset was detailed and visually interesting. Here are some of the references on the mood board I created for Lady of April's fashion aesthetic. I favored flowing and translucent cloth to emphasize her whimsical nature. Before I could get to painting, however, I prefer to create a color test to guide my painting process. Sometimes I still deviate from these color schemes, but they make it easier for me to lay down colors that harmonize together and lead the eye through the composition. I also had the Birthstone's color scheme to consider for this piece, which made things rather difficult. How does one represent a birthstone like diamond, which can reflect all kinds of colors? In the end, I decided to go with a subtle muted purple and blue scheme accented with pale yellows. These pale colors also help to push the figure forward from a dark background, giving her and the trees a golden glow, which emphasizes her symbolism as a light bringer and arbor spirit. Now enjoy a sped up time lapse of this piece in the making. This is hours of work condensed into about 5 minutes. here we are, the finished piece.
You can explore the online gallery for this series at gemstonegoddesses.com. If you love this art and want to help support me so I can keep on creating, pitch into my Ko-fi or Patreon. You'll be rewarded with sneak peeks, special downloadable perks, and more. Just look for the username Angela Sasser. Thanks for watching. Wishing you all inspiration.